Hello, welcome to another episode of Mush-achusetts. I'm your host, Bob Tremblay. In today's episode, we're going to talk about 5 hazards you can run into when you are dry land mushing with your dogs. So for today's video, I thought I would walk you through the process that I go through when I go to hook the dogs up. So this is a typical afternoon after I get home from work. I'm going out to the pen and I'm getting the dogs. They're being a little careful as I get them in here because we just had a frost and all the chestnuts fell down in their pen. And so they're a little ginger-footed, kind of avoiding the burrs. But I'm hooking them up. And I'm walking them across the backyard to the driveway. There's my house. And here's my front porch after I've got the dogs harnessed up. And then I load them into the back of my Subaru Outback as we get ready to head out to the trail for an afternoon, early evening of dry land mushing with a bike. So there's Bandit getting hooked up, and next comes Shiva. And then once they're hooked up, I hook them into the car so that when I open the back, they can't run out if there's traffic or anything like that. I'll do an episode where I talk about how I transport and house the dogs. And here we are about 15 minutes from my house out at the Denison Recreation Area. This is my scooter, and so we're actually, I'm standing on my scooter. And the dogs are pulling me. The trail's looking good. They're tearing off. They're excited. And we are about to hit our first hazard of this particular run. And so this first hazard that we come up to is actually some dog walkers on the trail. So up ahead, we have a couple of folks. I think they had 3 whippets. And they had them all on leashes, which was good. A lot of times you run into people with dogs, and people are out in the woods and they don't want to have their dogs on leashes. But they had them under control. They were standing to either side of the road to let me pass. But I really wanted to pass on one side. When you run into other people's dogs, you don't know what you're going to run into. We had no trouble there. Now we're continuing on. It had rained the night before, and so the road was really pretty soft. When it's soft like that, you have to assist the dogs. So on my scooter here, you can see we're bobbing up and down because I'm kicking with the scooter. When it's soft like this, it's just putting more drag on the dogs, and so you have to do your part to kind of assist so they don't strain themselves overly. Our next big hazard that we encounter are large puddles. And because we are just getting out of the summer, the dogs see puddles as drinking opportunities. And so sometimes they'll just stop right in the middle of the puddles. But now they're learning to run through them. And then here's our next big obstacle is an oncoming vehicle. So these are all woods roads. They're closed to traffic after sunset. So these are some vehicles that are leaving after sunset. And I'm really impressed with how well the dogs ran by here. They just didn't pay any attention. In the past, when they were younger, they would want to say hi to everybody was driving. But I love how they drove past here, just rode past. We have a hill coming up, so I wanted to turn around here. I wanted to turn around left. And I asked the dogs to turn, but they turned right, which is great. My dogs actually turn around really well, which I'm pleased about. So now we're taking off after they've negotiated their turn. And our next hazard here, another big puddle. You're going to see that Shiva slips because she was in that slippery mud in that puddle, and when she slipped, her leg went over her neckline. So their 2 collars are joined by a neckline. And Shiva's front leg went over it. And so I'm stopping because with her leg over like that, she could dislocate her shoulder, or she could tweak herself in some way or break a nail. And so anyway, I've got that straightened out. We're continuing down our run. We ran on this day, we ran just about almost 4 miles. We're in a little bit of a rush because the sun was setting. and I know they'd be closing the gates up. They do a great job getting around this puddle here. I'm very proud about that. And that gets us back to our car. And so here we are. They're satisfied with their run, unclipping their harnesses, putting them back in the back of the Subaru. And that concludes our evening run.
Good dogs.
And heading home. Clipping them back in. Kind of gone full circle from beginning to end of our run. And once the dogs are in there, last but not least, we have the scooter. And there's the scooter itself. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Mush-achusetts, and I look forward to seeing you the next time. Till then, see you on the trail.